And we are ready for our next run, so I'm going to go ahead and welcome Fiendly to show off Spider the video game. Fiendly, take it away.
Hello, folks. I am Fiendly. My contribution to today's showcase is less creepy and more crawly. So, if you're not a fan of spiders, it might reduce your fears a little bit to know that none of the moving objects we're going to see anywhere in this game are actually organic. They're all robots. They're going to look like spiders. There's going to be a representation of a spider on screen in pretty much every frame starting now, but they're not organic. You can see the metal skeleton inside the spider. They're robots. Don't worry about it. Also, spiders are excellent. There's a spider on my Persona's head over in the corner there. If I can wear one on my head, hopefully you can stand to look at one for a short while. Furthermore, there will be flashing lights during all three of the boss fights, but I will call those out before the boss fights begin for adequate preparation purposes. And with that, we should be ready to start. In 3, 2, 1, go. And this is Spider the video game from 1997, a 2.5D platformer, one of many. We start off going to the left. Our little character here is Dr. Michael Kelly. That's his name. I will explain further later on. We just collected our first microchip. That's what the cube was. You can sort of think of those as Super Mario 64 stars. We need them in order to advance further into the game. They will unlock future levels. And anytime we collect one, we will be booted out of the level that we are in. And many levels feature more than one, so sometimes we will have to return to a level we have completed and complete it again in a different way in order to acquire an additional microchip. We're going to need 38 in total, this being the any percent category. There are arbitrarily 59 in the entire game. Don't know why they settled on that number. Surprisingly, going for a 100% run only adds about 20 minutes. The 100% world record is right around 54 minutes. But that is a very impressive and highly optimized run. Missed that jump. First mistake of the run. Obviously, we need to reset. We have 2 hit points for the entirety of the game. It never increases beyond 2. That is our max. You can sort of think of it in like ghouls and ghosts terms, where we have a point of armor, and after that we're dead. Which makes a lot of the game arbitrarily difficult, like more difficult than it ought to be. Somewhat frustrating for a casual run. For a speed run, 2 hit points is about all we need. Most of the damage you'll be seeing me taking is intentional. Like right here, I'm doing what I call the heartbreak jump. And it's fine if we get hit there. Entirely possible to do that without getting hit, but it doesn't matter because I had 2 hit points. 1 to spare, and I knew there was a refill right there. Otherwise, our hit points never recover. The only way to get them back is to find them in the levels or die. Yep. Navigating corners is sometimes a little awkward, admittedly. And that last item we acquired is called the Smart Bomb. Very important item that we would like to keep with us throughout the entirety of this chapter. The warehouse chapter. So, what started this whole chain of events is that we, as Dr. Michael Kelly, invented a bunch of nanomachines. We are the most brilliant mind in the field of nanotechnology. We were hired by a company called Microtech to build all the nanomachines they wanted for unknown but likely nefarious purposes. And right as we were finishing up, we were testing a new invention which transferred our consciousness into the body of our nanomachines. Right at the moment we were testing that, the Microtech thugs burst into our laboratory and gunned us down for some reason. Then they made off with our body, but our consciousness is inside the spider. So, our spider needs to go on a tiny adventure across actually very small locations for the purpose of recovering his bullet-riddled body. But he's a doctor, so I guess he believes he is able to resuscitate himself upon reuniting with it. And right there, that is another collectible, an optional collectible technically, but it is very fast to get them. Those are CD pieces, pieces of a data disk. So you see, long ago, computers and consoles, they had these things called CD drives. You could put CDs into them, and the computer would read data. Bit of a costly death because I lost my smart bomb and dying there, but it's fine. We have a backup smart bomb. So CDs could be interpreted into data via computers. The data on these disks is the locations of secret levels. So every chapter in this game contains 3 broken CD pieces. We get all 3 pieces, we cram them into a disk tray, and it tells us where a secret level is. All of those secret levels has 1 microchip inside of it, except for the one in this chapter, which has 3 microchips in it. So it's a very fast way to get 3 additional microchips. And we desperately need all those microchips, because we gotta hit 38 or we are not allowed into the final boss fight. And unfortunately, CD trays don't exist anymore, so I can't troll anybody into saying, if you cram broken CD shards into your disk tray, it will read them properly. Now, unfortunately, because I died there, I gotta hop back into this level and go get a backup smart bomb. We do have one of those boss fights coming up. The first boss fight has very mild flashing, but anytime we attack the boss, it will flash the screen red, which I understand is okay for epileptics, but it's not ideal, so look away as necessary. We will only attack twice, though, because our smart bombs deal tremendous amounts of damage to this boss. Because we have 2 smart bombs, we only need to hit it twice. Whereas, if we were actually fighting this boss, and the boss is dead, so if you were looking away, you could look back now. If we were actually fighting it with attacks, that would have taken forever. Now onto the bonus level we unlocked with all those CD shards. Typically, the bonus levels will they'll feature new like art assets, new textures, new stuff to see. This one does not. This is stealing textures from a future level that we'll get to much, much later in the run. But it happens to have 3 very, very quick microchips inside of it. It's also kind of a boring level, but we need to do it anyway. Yeah, the ability to route around climbing walls and stuff, that is what really makes this game unique and interesting. I love being able to climb the walls and the ceilings and stuff. They placed some limits on it, unfortunately, that prevent it from being as fun as it could be. But for a PS1 game, they did a great job. Especially considering it was the studio's first ever game. Boss Studios, and I believe pretty much all they made after this was like off-road racing games.
How are the controls in this? I mean, it doesn't seem like I mean, it seems like for a first game, doing a platformer would be pretty ambitious, to be honest.
It's on the ambitious side. The controls are responsive, I would say.
Okay.
The only issues that crop up are when lag appears. So, like, a lot of the explosions will cause the game to lag. And during lag spikes, your inputs will frequently get eaten. So anytime you kill an enemy, hopefully you don't have to jump immediately afterwards. Oh yeah, also it has been mentioned in chat, I do technically have the world record in this category. At 30 minutes and 49 seconds.
A world record's a world record.
Yep. Ultimately, it is the world record as far as recorded, provable, existing runs. Because I did see evidence that there was a like sub 27-minute run, but the video doesn't exist anymore, so it doesn't count. A lot of this run is based around Go ahead.
I was just gonna say no vid, no did, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, a lot of this run is routed around what weapons we can acquire at what point. And in fact, there's a huge segment in the end game that is based entirely around getting the appropriate weapons we will need to defeat the final boss. Not the worst death in the world, but there are no intentional deaths, so every time I die, it's a mistake. And I don't think I've ever had a deathless run of this game. In my opinion, this is a very, very good beginner speed run. It's the first speed run I ever learned, and I taught it to myself, so if that says anything. That jump right there, you have to like nail it absolutely perfectly. Jump at the last possible moment. Otherwise, you will take up a bit of damage on the water, which is fine. But if you don't take that damage, you can damage boost. Get through the rest of this a little bit faster. Oh, that was weird behavior from the missile. You saw the missile curve around the target that it had locked on. Missiles have very bad AI and will frequently misbehave like that. Nothing I could have done there besides react to a thing that I've never seen happen before. Yes, unironically, I've never seen that happen before, so it's the thing.
You said the line. You said the thing.
I paraphrased the thing. This is a level we have to do again. Someone mentioned what might be the world's longest speed run, which is Spider Rite of the Shrouded Moon, 100%. Hey, I nailed that jump simply by not thinking about it. But yeah, that speed run is 525 hours because it has to be performed over the course of an entire lunar cycle.
Oh my god.
I have done a non-speed run of that game. Because I love spiders. Okay, this is your make or break level for your run. Because this is a very, very, very long level. If one were to die towards the end, well, you're losing a lot of time. That said, I have practiced it a bunch, and I've developed new strategies that were not implemented in my world record run to speed it up. Generally make it safer. Oh, those are not one of them, but we died early enough that it's not a big deal. For some reason, Michael Kelly did not decide to skin those mantises, and he gave them like T1000 powers. Inexplicably, we have to fight the Terminator sometimes. We just damage boost through here. Also, this street we happen to be strolling along randomly launches gouts of flame. And our spider, piloted by a genius nanotechnician, cannot just sidestep the flame. Bit of a boomerang fight. Every enemy has what I call an allergy. It is a weakness to a certain weapon that will cause them to die much faster. And those grasshopper things that don't look anything like grasshoppers, their allergy is the boomerang, conveniently enough. Bosses also have allergies, and we need to go out of our way, oftentimes, to work around them. Lives have absolutely no purpose in this game, but they are a thing that we are collecting at arbitrary times. All that happens if you run out of lives is you get a game over, and then you restart with 5 lives again, on the same level. It's just a bunch of loading screens. It's a bit annoying, but not that big a deal. Okay, on to a very difficult level. My resources are scarce. The lava background is a bad choice because it introduces these red scorpions that are basically invisible against the lava. First time game dev mistakes.
Oh wow, they sure are.
Yeah. And the scorpions happen to be one of very few things in this game that are RNG. Scorpions and wasps can attack at any time. They can fire their little tail lasers. And when they do so, they stop moving. And that is one of the only things that can cause them to go off cycle. Also, the direction that their shots fire in is completely random. And you may have noticed that I grabbed that microchip out of thin air. That is a level with 3 microchips, and we went for an optional one. Because it's the fastest one, it's also one that you would never find in a million years in a casual playthrough. And we've gone full surreal at this point. We're traveling across dinosaur bones floating in space. Don't worry about it. This museum is where things just go off the rails as far as logic. And I'm fine with it. Oh, we have to go back into that level, I forgot. Because we need additional weapons. We got 1 electro, it's near the beginning of this level. We need 2, because it is the boss's allergy. And this next level is very, very short, so we do got a boss coming up very soon. The next boss has the worst flashing effects, by far, so I'm going to recommend you just look away for the entire duration of this boss. You can actually skip that flame there, but it is very, very tight. You need to jump all the way up the pyramid thing. And then that also skips the flame that is inside the pyramid as well. Big time save, but unsafe for marathon purposes. So we start with the camera going berserk. Then the screen starts to shake. We gotta dodge rocks from this awkward camera angle with the screen shaking the whole time. This is just horrible visual design. And then when the boss dies, it is the flashiest moment in the entire game. I keep barely making it under these rocks. These rocks will randomly drop health refills. But they can drop anywhere between 3 and 0. I'm seeing 0 thus far. Yep, 0. Onward to a chest burster for some reason. Bunch of flashing, and it is mercifully over. Let us never return to the museum, except at the very end of the run where our last 3 microchips will be acquired within the museum. That level that we spent very little time in with the pyramid, we are going to spend a whole lot of time in it. I think that might be the level that we spend the most time in over the course of the entire run. Anyway, new area might be somewhat familiar because this is where they stole the tubes. Hidden level 4, or from, rather. I'm glad we were able to get in, like, one of the bonus levels, because I think the bonus levels are very cool. But, the bonus level in the first chapter is the 70s room, which is a bedroom in the 1970s.
Shag carpet and everything.
Oh, yeah. And a bunch of, 8 tracks with fake parody band names on them. And an alarm clock permanently set to 4:20. I'm not kidding. Nice. Sadly, only 1 microchip in there, and it's very slow to get. There's a microchip right there that we will get later. We need the electrode to zap the spider, because if we fall while the spider can descend, it will catch up to us, get there first, and injure us. But if it's being zapped, it is stunned. And we save some electro for this level, where one hit kills bats. It is their allergy. Having a hard time navigating these corners. That is very consistent with the, wall climbing gimmick. Unfortunately, corners are a bit of a problem. That's really bad on the volcano and in this level. So we're through the worst of that. Up, down is where the next level goes. A lot of this is memorizing which direction each level is, whilst menuing on the overworld. That's a bit of a tight jump there, getting over that spider without getting hit. Which means I can now damage boost through this spider. Jump over this one. This is my favorite level. It's the Surf Rock Sewer. For some reason, just a parody of Miserloo plays throughout the entirety of this level and only this level. Which unfortunately means that we are leaving this level as rapidly as possible. Goodbye, Surf Rock Sewer. And now we basically do the first level from this chapter in reverse, in a weird way. This is the only level with moving platforms that we have to rely on. And touching the pipe at the very beginning there seems to manipulate the moving platforms into a favorable position. Otherwise, their cycles are atrocious and you have to wait forever. I have absolutely no idea why. But ever since I started touching that pipe, which is a tactic I took from the previous world record holders video, it just always works. Not a lot of science has been done with regard to this game. Ironically, considering it is about a scientist. But I just take what I've seen in other players' videos and reverse engineer what is going on at any given moment. Now, we have traveled a very short distance overall. But we have come to an evil laboratory, that of the Microtech Industries, wherein our body is being held. Slightly faster to get a perfect jump that will land you underneath that guy, that grasshopper. Also that web goop It moves you very, very slowly and you need to jump a bunch of times. Otherwise, the bat is guaranteed to drop a bomb on your head if you don't jump quickly enough. Also, the only reason there are any enemies at all in this game is during the cutscenes, which we can turn off the cutscenes. Very nice speedrun friendly feature. But during those cutscenes, all they show is the guys who shot us holding a briefcase wherein they have taken all of our nanomachines, but the briefcase has a big hole in the bottom. And that's the only reason there are enemies in this game. They didn't check their briefcase before stealing all of our research. Sometimes it seems like this game is intentionally silly.
You definitely get the sense that like the developers had some creative ideas and they weren't gonna let, they wanted to just have fun with it.
Yeah, I like the vibe of the game.
Yeah.
I bought it because it said spider in the title.
Think of that. It's like, we just want to have the spider crawling along some cool dinosaur fossils. Let's not let a little thing like physics and logic get in the way of that.
Absolutely, and that is something a lot more game devs could apply to their games. There are places for logic, but there are also places for wacky nonsense.
This ribbon effect actually looks really cool in the electronics section here, too.
Yeah, we are inside a computer. Oh, that's fine. We didn't have anything we needed. But yeah, this level is the hard drives. Now that we're in the evil labs, we're just walking through their computers. Which can't possibly be the most efficient route to where we need to go, but it's the route we're taking. Perhaps the entirety of our cognition could not fit on the RAM afforded a robot so small. That's the only reason I can come up with for why Dr. Michael Kelly behaves so irrationally. So this level takes place, it's called On the Ceiling, and indeed, whole level is upside down. This is terrifying because we basically only have one hit point now. If you get hit while you're hanging from the ceiling, you fall, and there's no floor beneath us. And this is another one of the very, very long levels. In a casual playthrough, this... Well, for one, it's the final level. That was my own mistake. Yeah, this would normally be the final level. We've routed it in such a way that we need to go back and get additional microchips, which will also get us additional weapons. I was ironically going to say this level is not very difficult once you're used to it in a speedrun context.
See, you didn't even have to say it, you just had to think it.
Yep. It's far too easy to jinx oneself. The Electro I was carrying makes this level a lot faster, but I don't like this. There. Oh, the ceilings are also electrified, because why wouldn't they be? Now, I assume all arachnophobes have thoroughly tuned out by this point, which is unfortunate. Oh, that was very unfortunate. That guy is not supposed to attack at that point. But like I said, the scorpions are random in their behavior, as are the wasps. There's one last point of RNG that we got to worry about right at the very end of the run. Which is great when you're on a good run. Yeah, I'm a big fan of spiders personally. There's a reason the artwork up in the corner there has a spider web with a spider in it. Ever since I learned that spiders are actually very friendly creatures. Basically harmless to humans. Oh, not quite that far back. As far as balancing benefit to humans against potential harm to humans, spiders are masters of that ratio. Very few people have ever been harmed by a spider. Whilst we are constantly benefiting from their presence without even knowing it. So the whole reason we come back to this level is for another microchip, but we also want that electrode that I just acquired. This is what I call the home stretch, where we collect the last handful of microchips and also get a bunch of weapons that we're going to need. The weapons we're getting now make the final return to the museum go a lot faster. And we'll carry over some of the ammo we have now all the way to the final boss. All the ammo we have now to the final boss. Spare electro ammo that I could have used there. Wow. Even I am surprised that guy got me. Yeah, chelicerates are kind of a small group, honestly. Pretty much listed them all in chat. Nice work. They don't even need me to tell them about how cool spiders are.
Turns out when you have a Spider the video game on your channel, you bring in the big spider fans.
Oh yeah. And I personally feel that furries should be aware of all the animals and all the good they can do for the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Shout out to anyone who has a persona that is typically considered vermin. Rats and bats apparently count. Right here, we're going for mech mines. There are 3 weapons that we can wield with our back legs. Mech mines are the ones that get used most frequently throughout the run. And we just kick them and they roll down towards basically whatever happens to be in their way. In this case, they happen to be very effective at dealing with the final boss. That bat there, it never drops bombs at an opportune time to actually hit us, so it is quite harmless. That one, however, loves to randomly drop bombs on your head. Thankfully, there's a health refill immediately afterwards. Oop. Love this platform in particular, and the way you can just phase through it but not land on top of it. Okay, one more microchip remains. Bit of an unlucky bomb drop there, but it's fine. Jumping up pyramids makes them go a little faster. Get rid of that bat for safety. We've certainly died enough. That fire will hit you even though we swerve past it. Classic Spider the video game logic. Last microchip. One more pit stop for the sake of a weapon. Because the final boss's true weakness is the poisoner. We can get by without two poisoners, but for safety, we'll take two poisoners in. And there will be flashing lights anytime one of these bulbs burst, like right now. This boss is completely RNG after the second attack here. The first two attacks are guaranteed to be an eye laser into a stab. The eye laser breaks the bulb. Then it can do any number of stabs and eye lasers it feels like. But if we can get it to stab into an open bulb socket, it will be stunned so that we can burn it with poison. I have gotten perfect RNG in the past. This obviously is not, but I've seen a lot worse. I've seen like 10 lasers at once. Get ready on time. Because that is time on the final boss.
GG's.
Thank you. Was Spider the video game.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm really glad we got to show this off. I know you've submitted this to a couple of our marathons, and it's just one of those games that, you know, it's definitely worthy of being showed off. And we had a great conversation in the chat about spiders, and I can tell you're very passionate about the game, and not just, you know, specifically because of spiders, but it sounds like it was one of your early kind of speedrun games, and that's really cool. Everybody has kind of like those games that got them into speedrunning. So
yeah, absolutely. The first time I played this, I thought this looks like it would be a good speed game from an outside perspective as someone who's never done a speedrun. And it turns out I was fairly correct. It's very fast-paced. Deaths are kind of costly, as we saw. They add up quickly, but overall, good speed game.
I was also not prepared for these like fully, well, I shouldn't say fully, but like PS1 era, like not half bad looking cutscenes. This is a little bit of a treat here. Very cool. So but yeah, thank you again, Fiendly, so much for this. Do you want to give any shout outs or tell the folks where they can find you?
Yeah, thanks a ton for having me. I stream frequently on twitch.tv/StFiendly, StFiendly. This December 24th, Christmas Eve, I will be doing the Twisted Marathon, a full run of every single Twisted Metal game back to back to back. I did it once last year. It took 13 and a half hours, but this year I learned the speed runs for all the Twisted Metal games, so it should take significantly less time.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah, Christmas Eve, all 9 Twisted Metal games. for the benefit of my partner's GoFundMe to cover medical expenses. So if you're able to tune
Well,
in, it should be a good time.
well, yeah, everybody definitely go give Fiendly a follow and keep an eye out for that. And again, thank you very much for doing this for us today. Hope you have a really good rest of your weekend.
Yeah, you as well. Thanks so much for having me.